Okay, so the Cleveland Browns, that the experiment that they were running, I guess this season is over. They got rid of Freddie Kitchens. They got rid of John Dorsey. So I guess now they're looking on to the next coach. They're looking on. They're looking to move on to the next, I guess, era of completely embarrassing Cleveland Brown football. So this team has a multitude of issues, but a couple issues that they can fix that can sometimes when you have a lot of issues, sometimes fixing certain things can kind of ease a lot of the other issues or alleviate a lot of the other issues that your organization has. And a couple of those things, and this is what the Cleveland Browns need to focus on if they want to start a winning tradition in Cleveland. One is they need to develop an identity. Okay? They need to develop an identity for both the organization and the team. Two different things. They need organizational stability, and once you develop that, then once you start working on the stability of the team and the identity of the team, or the identity that you want, everything else becomes easier to handle. Everything becomes easier to deal with. And another thing is setting a standard. Okay, these are two things. The things that I just named are not the sexiest ways to fix an organization, but they're the most effective. All right, you develop an identity. This is what your tradition, this is what your culture is based off of. And then you set a standard. Okay, set an identity is what you are going to become to the public. What are you going to become to the players that you bring in? This is what New England did. I mean, they set an identity for themselves, how they wanted to approach the game, how they wanted their players to approach the game. And then they set a standard where, look, you need to follow these set guidelines. You break anything, you're gone. You don't live up to, the contract that we give you, you're gone. Those kind of things. You need those things, man. Stability it's not easy to develop, but it is very easy to destroy. Like, it's very easy to just mess it up. It is incredibly hard to develop. It is incredibly easy to lose. Stability. All right. Now, the thing that separates New England, and like I say, New England is they're the perfect example of what every other team in the NFL is doing wrong. They're the perfect example because they're doing it right there. Okay? But I don't think anybody's going to be able to replicate that. So the best thing they can do is try to it's really hard to explain because there's so much that's going into it, but I'm trying to explain it so quickly that it's not really it's not easy to explain right here. But those are the two things I think this team needs to focus on. They need to build an identity, and part of building that identity is bringing in a GM and a coach. You need to bring in people that you can put your faith in, and not if it fails the first year or the second year, not giving up on them, sticking with it. Supporting them and giving them anything that they need to be successful. It's so much that goes into this, man, that a lot of teams, they're so impatient. They're so impatient and in a hurry to win and to be successful that they don't take the time to develop. Like it's a process to winning. Like, they don't take the time to go through the steps that you need to go through. But that's a lot of these teams' problem.
Back here on First Things First, on Tuesday, the Browns and general manager John Dorsey mutually agreed to part ways. A new report also said that offensive coordinator Todd Monken told opposing coaches before games the team was, quote, a total mess. Brian, I'll start with you. How quick of a fix are the Cleveland Browns, in your opinion?
Well, two things that need to be fixed, and they're really overused words in the NFL, but I think they're used for a reason, and because it's very, very important. Culture and character. I think they have all the talent that you can ask for. They have 2 all-star receivers. You have a great running back. Offensive line needs some work. I think your quarterback is going to need some adjusting, but they need a better culture and character. And when you look at this football,
now, those 2 things that I just named, I said they need to build an identity and they need to set a standard. Those need to be the first 2 things that you do before you're even thinking about competing for titles. Okay? Now, with what Brian Westbrook is talking about with the culture, and he said culture and something else, but culture, that's pretty much the culture. Once you build an identity, you start working on that. Like, that's what the culture becomes. Is pretty much, that's pretty much what the culture is. It's so hard for me to explain. That's pretty much what the culture is. It's the identity plus the standard, and you know that it's like guidelines that everybody has to follow. This is what New England prides themselves on. This is what they call the Patriot Way. It's pretty much an identity and a standard. And you have to follow those things, and that's pretty much what the culture is. In order to build a positive one that reflects positively on your organization, to the media, to the fans, but also translate well to your players, that you're able to see a product on the field that you want to see. I mean, it takes time to build that, man. It takes time. Like, it's easy to put together a very talented team that could win you a Super Bowl possibly, that has success for like 3 to 5 years. And then after that, then you got to start all over again. It's easy to build those. It's really easy to build those. Those happen very often. It's very hard to sustain long-term success, man, because it takes time. It takes the right pieces.
Team. I think back to the Kansas City Chiefs before Andy Reid got there. They were 2-14 the last year of Romeo Crennel. They were absolutely terrible. They had a bunch of good players on that football team, though. And when Andy came in with a better culture, when he built a better character inside that locker room, they were 11-5 the next year, made it to the playoffs. They have an opportunity here in Cleveland to do something that they haven't done in 17 years, which is make the playoffs if they find the right guy. But that guy has to come in strong-handed and say, this is what's going to be allowed now, and all that stuff that you did before, none of it's going to be allowed. If they can do that
right there, that what Brian Westbrook just said right there, that's the standard. These type of things, look, when you have a household, right, and you meet a woman, you have kids, and you're trying to build the best, most constructive environment for your home that you possibly can. I mean, it starts by seriously, it starts with the identity. I mean, how you want the image that you want to portray to your kids, and the kind of person that you want to reflect onto your family, and standards, man, rules. My bad for the noise. Rules. I mean, these are very important. If you want to build a stable environment, these are the things you need, man. I'm trying to explain it the best I can in a short amount of time that I can do it, and I'm really sorry because I'm struggling, because I'm trying to talk as quickly as I can, but also explain as thoroughly as I can, and it's just sometimes I stumble when I do that, but like this is what Cleveland needs to do, and I don't think they understand that. Like, they're just trying to win now. They're trying to put the best product they can out there to win now, and sometimes it's not going to work that way, man.
They can build that culture. They can build that character in that locker room to go along with the talent that they have, and they can be a winning football team. It can happen overnight. It won't happen overnight, but it can, because you have that talent on that football team.
See, and that's what I'm saying. That kind of success can happen immediately, but it's not sustainable. This is why you see teams like Seattle, like when Pete Carroll got there, he built a powerhouse within 2 years. He built a powerhouse that was a Super Bowl champion within 3. But it wasn't sustainable. I mean, Seattle is still pretty good now, and that's because of the pieces and the standard they were able to build up there. You know, once they got a lot of the other players out, they were able to rebuild somewhat. And Pete Carroll's a great coach. He really is. But it's not sustainable for very long. Seattle was dominant but they didn't last very long.
You just have to bring the right guy in. Yeah, you see a lot of teams go from worst to first throughout the National Football League from one year to another, and I think the Cleveland Browns have the talent to be able to compete for that division title, even with the Baltimore Ravens, who are a 14-2 team now, the number 1 seed in the AFC. The Cleveland Browns are a very talented team. From that regard, John Dorsey did his job, but the one thing that he failed to do was identify who the head coach of this team needs to be, and that's why ultimately...
Look, if we're going to throw that off on Dorsey, we got to throw that off on Jimmy Haslam as well. We're going to have to throw that off on everybody in that front office, because they allowed Baker Mayfield to dictate the terms of the way things are going to go in Cleveland, and it didn't work out. Like, when you allow a second-year player, a second-year quarterback to choose who the head coach of the team is going to be, and as emotional as we all know Baker is, well, you know, I knew that ever since he came out of Oklahoma when he had his issues there. But as emotional as that dude is, he was going to make his decision of who he wanted his head coach to be based off emotion. And this is what the result of that is.
Lost his job. So moving forward with this organization, I think the approach that they're taking is the right one in making sure that they find the right coach. That's why they moved on from John Dorsey. They want their next head coach to have input on who he's going to work with in the front office as the general manager. So I think that's absolutely the right approach, because you need to try to attract the most qualified candidate possible. You need somebody that can not only fix Baker Mayfield.
Look, and these organizations need to stop doing that. They need to stop hiring these head coaches based on opinions, like based on the opinions of the people in the like. When you go after GMs, when you go after head coaches, you need to have detailed discussions with these people. Like the owner needs to have like a vision. Like he needs to have a path or a road mapped out of where he wants this team to be, what he wants this team to be about. He needs to have a detailed interview with each GM prospect or whatever, whoever you potentially have coming in. You need to have detailed conversations with them about what their goal is, what their views are on where they want this team to go, and if it lines up with yours, or even if you want nothing to do with it, just talk to them, find out where they want the vision, what their vision is for this team, where they want this team to be in like 5 years, 10 years, stuff like that. And you hire your GM based on that. And then you allow your GM to hire the best head coach who fits what he wants. Then you allow him to hire that person. Like, I don't, it's a process. Like, it's complicated, man, but it's not hard to figure out how to do this shit. Like, it's really not. It's not hard at all, man. Everybody needs to be in unison. Like, everybody needs to be walking in unison. Like, the whole organization, from the players to the coaches to the GMs to the president to, you know, PR people to the owner. Like, everybody needs to be on the same page, man. Everybody needs to be on the same page. That's the only way this shit's gonna work. That's the only way you're gonna be successful, man. Everybody needs to be on the same page. Everybody needs to be moving in the same direction. I mean, it feels like a lot of these teams, they hire people and then you just got a whole bunch of people in your organization that have opposing views or opposing, I don't know, just opposing, their intentions are different. And that's how you end up with chaotic situations, man. That's how you end up with fucking losing teams that should be winning 10 games, but instead they can only muster up 2 games, 3 games. Like, this is why you end up with fucking situations like this, man, because nobody's on the same page. Everybody has their own fucking ulterior motive instead of everybody being invested in the organization, man. It seems like everybody is invested in their own personal shit, and it's a mess, man.
Get him to stop throwing the ball to the other team, but you also need somebody that can create the culture that can support sustained winning. That's been the thing that...
But see, that's the thing about culture. It's not built overnight. You can't build the fucking culture a culture where you want a team to be successful for a long period of time is not built overnight. It's built over time. Alright? It's built over time. and then I'm gonna end it after this. I'm just gonna say this because this video is kind of irritating me, and these people are the problem with why the Cleveland Browns and other teams like the Cleveland Browns can't seem to get their shit together, because everybody has their opinion on what this team needs to fucking do, or why this team failed, and where this team needs to go from here. Jimmy Haslam needs to figure out what he wants with this. Like, what does he want with this team? Does he want to bring somebody in that's going to get the job done? I think John Dorsey did a good fucking job. I mean, sure, he may have not have done a great job with the head coaching hire, but I think he did a good job of putting his team together. I mean, sorry. You got Denzel Ward, you got Greedy Williams, you got Myles Garrett. I mean, Baker Mayfield, who is a decent quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I just don't respect him as a person. I think that he has a lot of arrogant ways, and I think he needs to get over himself. You bring in Odell Beckham Jr. You signed Jarvis Landry a year ago, and 2 years ago, something like that. And I mean, you have so many great young pieces. I mean, Njoku, I don't know what the fuck is that guy's problem is, man, but he's been in the league for like 3 years. He was supposed to be that guy at the tight end position, man, but he can't seem to fucking stay on the field long enough. I mean, you have a bevy of fucking running backs. Nick Chubb is a fucking stud. Kareem Hunt is a great player. I mean, you have the pieces. You have the team. That's the GM's job. You put together the best team you can. Now, he fucked up with the head coach, which, he should have taken accountability for, but I don't think he should have been fired. I don't think he should have been fired at all. I think the owner fired him, man, just to appease the fans, man, because the fans are probably on his ass. Oh, man, they fucked this team up. We should have won. We should have won more. And a lot of times, that's why organizations fail, man, because everybody has a fucking opinion. And these owners who aren't real football savvy, whether it's in the business world of the NFL or if it's just football knowledge, period, man, most of these guys aren't savvy, so they too busy listening to the fans, man, because this is where they're getting their money from. He should have stuck with John Dorsey. John Dorsey put together the best product on that field that I think the Cleveland has had in the past, 20 years, 30 years? I've never seen a team this talented. In the Cleveland Browns organization, I've never seen a team this talented since I've been watching football. This team has talent all over the place. And you pretty much, the guy that made that happen, you get rid of him because of fucking Freddie Kitchens? Are you serious? And this is why Cleveland will struggle, man. They're going to struggle. They're going to struggle for a while. I would be fucking surprised if the Cleveland Browns were ever to make it to a Super Bowl. Not win it, just make it there. I'd be surprised. But this is why. Hopefully they're able to figure out their issues. Hopefully they're able to get past this. Hopefully I'm wrong. And I always, whenever I give my opinion on certain things, I always say I could be wrong. Okay? I could be wrong. But I gotta say this, since I started this YouTube thing where I started making these videos about sports, I'm not very wrong. I'm not wrong very often. Sometimes I am. But I'm not wrong very often. And I don't think I'm wrong about this. I think that the owner of the Cleveland Browns is too busy worrying about the media, too busy worried about the fans, and he needs to just run his organization how he sees fit. And you know what? No, maybe that's the problem. Maybe he the way he sees it is the wrong approach. Maybe staying with the guy that helped build your squad up to where it is now, where all they need is a solid coach to build the culture there, and you're fucking right there. You're right there. You're on the cusp of winning. I think they should have stuck with Dorsey a little while longer, but that's just my opinion.